And I have a message. I want this particular message to be taken very, very seriously. The message goes to all the politicians, all those vying for position, in the so-coming election. The message goes to aspirant. The message goes to the Senate aspirant. The message goes to those who say want to go and contest at the National Assembly, especially from Biafra land. Today is the 17th day of January and 23. I am aware that you are all having meetings, secret meetings. I am aware that you are, brainstorming and having meetings. What you can do, what can you do, what can you not do, in order to have election. I want you to understand that you are wasting your time. You are wasting your time. There is one thing, challenge, I will give to you people. Having these meetings can never change anything. Some of you have information that a lot of people don't have. And you know the information I'm talking about. What is happening in Biafra land is not about insecurity. It is a war that has been declared and is being fought. If you want to make impact truly in what is happening next month, if you want to make impact, if the people that are running for any office in the southeast and other parts of Biafra land, if you want to make impact, I want to see you go to Abuja between now and 22nd. Between now and 22nd of this month. Today is 17 in Biafra land. So you have 20, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. You have 4 days from now to go to Abuja and bring Mazi Nnamdi Kanu back. If you do it, something positive will happen.
To come around the table and for us to discuss. For us to discuss the security and prosperity of the Southeast. And I now want to appeal and plead and request and demand of the federal government and our Ekpa president, led by the Ekpa President Buhari, that a critical person required around that table for that conversation to be complete, for us to have an all-round approach to dealing with the issue of insecurity and discussing about the future of the Southeast. That person, and we need him urgently around the table, please him to us, and that is Nnamdi Kanu. I'm calling on the federal government to please release Nnamdi Kanu. We need him around the table because we believe that we now want to have a comprehensive heart-to-heart conversation about the future of the Southeast, about the future security and prosperity of the Southeast. No one should be left behind. Everybody should be there. If we cannot release him unconditionally, as requested by the courts, by the court judgments and so on, I now offer to be the shorty. Release him to me. I will keep him. Release him to me. Release him to me. In the Southeast to come around.
All right. All right. Thank you all. In support of Soludo's call to release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu after the court have discharged him, Nigeria refused to release him. We are giving the government of Fulani from now till the 22nd of this month to release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. If Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is not released from now till the 22nd, especially on the condition of health, to also follow the court order of that he has been discharged, if he is not released between now and the 22nd of this month, we are going to protest specifically for this in support of Soludo's call to release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. For this reason, on the 23rd of January 2023 and on the 24th of January 2023, Biafra land will be under lock and key. I want to announce it again for just clarity. Because of the health situation of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and because of the court discharging him and because of call of Soludo, specifically Soludo call for the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Let us know whether the call to release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu by Soludo is a genuine call, or whether Soludo is using it to do politics. Will depend on the reaction of Soludo on this sit at home that is coming on the 23rd and 24th. To know whether this call by Soludo is a genuine call, to know whether this call by Soludo is coming from the heart, to know whether Biafrans will listen to Soludo for this first time. And we are going to watch to see how Soludo will react to this particular call for sit at home. It will determine the fate that the Biafrans will put in Soludo. Whether he is going to support as a civil disobedient for the Biafra people, officially, to call the attention of the Nigeria state, which he served under, for the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. We are announcing today, the 15th day, stroke 16th day of January 2023, that if Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is not released unconditionally before 22nd of January 2023, the next day being 23rd of January is on Monday, and the 24th is on Tuesday. So the next sit at home to support Soludo call for the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu will be on the 23rd day of January and the 24th day of January 2023. What is going to happen? They are going to be the one to bring people to kill you just to make sure they give you a bad name, or they give Biafra a bad name. Do not be the reason that Nigeria are going to write petition. Do not allow yourself to be used, because those people, they will never be there to protect you. Rather, they will be there to kill you, just like they have done in the past. As we continue to make sure that we are shaking the wall of Jericho, which is going to collapse very soon, remember to keep instruction.
Now to our interview with the guest of the day. I am now joined by the public interest and human rights lawyer, Enibehe Effiong. We're talking about Southeast insecurity and the disagreements between IPOB and Governor Soludo on Nnamdi Kanu. Thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
All right, let's get straight to business. Governor Soludo has called on the federal government to release the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, to him. Any legal implication to this?
The answer is no. What Mr. Soludo said is entirely political. It is without any legal consequence. The first point to even make is that by virtue of his position, virtue to his side, he's not even eligible to stand as a shorty for anybody in Nigeria. That is because under Section 308 of the Constitution, a governor has immunity not only from prosecution, not only from civil action. When you look at the language of Section 308, it is very expansive to the extent that any person that is entitled to immunity under that section, the law says no process of court can be issued that is capable of compelling the appearance of that person. Now, what is shorty? If someone is arraigned in court, let us assume that before we even get to whether there is even a basis for, his proposition or not. When someone is arraigned in court and that person is admitted to bail, the court requires that person to produce a shorty for someone to enter into recognizance. Now, in the event that that person jumps bail or violates the term of his bail, and the court is to issue a warrant for the arrest of that person, the court can require the shorty to issue cause, to show cause why the sum that the person has entered into recognizance should not be forfeited to the federal government or to the state government as the case may be. In another instance, the court can even require that person to come to court to explain the appearance of that person. So technically speaking, because of the implications of the immunity clause, a governor is not someone that is capable of standing as a shorty for any person in law. It is simply not possible, because that will entail that he has to go to court, he post an affidavit, sign bail bond and all that. What happens if Nnamdi Kanu does not attend court? Can the governor be compelled to produce him? The answer is no. So what Soludo said was just a political statement. But the question is to stand shorty for what exactly? Because as of today, as I'm speaking to you, there is no charge known to law in any court in Nigeria, to my knowledge, that Nnamdi Kanu is facing. The charge that he was facing before the Honorable Justice Nyako has been declared a nullity, has been set aside by the Court of Appeal in a unanimous judgment. And the court even said the federal government cannot try him for any offense whatsoever because of the issue of extraordinary rendition. Therefore, as of today, there is no charge in law that Nnamdi Kanu is facing. What has happened is that after the Court of Appeal had given the judgment last October, the federal government applied for a stay, which the court in its wisdom granted, even though some of us have, some jurisprudential difficulties, explaining that judgment. But that is the ruling. That is the ruling of the court, staying that judgment, which Nnamdi Kanu has appealed to the Supreme Court. But as of today, the law remains that Nnamdi Kanu is not facing any trial, cannot face any trial, and cannot be arraigned in any court. So you cannot stand shorty for someone that is not standing trial. So for me, what he said was just a political statement, which is not out of place. If the federal government believes that dialogue is a solution to the crisis in the Southeast, that political solution can resolve the agitation that we are seeing, the IPOB agitation, why not? The governor can advocate for his unconditional release. But beyond that, as I said, there is a pending and subsisting judgment of the Court of Appeal, even though same has been stated, that Nnamdi Kanu ought not to face trial. For me, what is important is that the government, the federal government, should examine the issue dispassionately. If you have a situation where in the last 7 to 8 years, we have seen members of Boko Haram that have slaughtered thousands of Nigerians, granted immunity, granted amnesty, being reintegrated in quotes, what is the distinction between what Boko Haram has done to grant them, to make them eligible for amnesty, compared to what IPOB is doing? Why are we having double standard? But on the other hand, I am among those Nigerians who believe that violence is not the solution. Therefore, while we are also calling for, dialogue and all that, we must make it very clear that sit at home is not acceptable, that nobody had the right to disrupt the electoral process, that nobody had the right to burn INEC offices or public facilities, while also calling on the federal government to be dispassionate. Regarding what Soludo has said, as I have already explained, we should take it for what it is, because in the first place, it was at a political rally that he made this statement. And you and I know that when it comes to times like this, politicians in Nigeria can say anything, and that is exactly what Governor Soludo did.
All right,
He knows how to have access to the president.
Yes, you call it a political statement, but then Governor Soludo said Kanu is critical to the security situation in the southeast and is needed for any discussion for the future of the region. Will you say this can actually guarantee peace in that region?
I don't believe that Soludo is serious about what he's saying. Again, I want to emphasize that it was a political statement, as I have already underscored. Legally and constitutionally, is not eligible to even be a shorty. And secondly, there is no basis for anybody, whether governor or whatsoever, to even say he wants to be a shorty, because there is no charge that Nnamdi Kanu is facing. But I do agree with him on one point, that if we are going to resolve the crisis in the southeast, there has to be some form of conversation. Because what has become clear over the last few years is that the militarization of the southeast, the python has danced and has failed. The rhythms of the python has not resulted in peace. Rather, what we are seeing is increased militarization, the killing of innocent citizens, the burning of the properties of private citizens and public facilities. To resolve that, it is therefore important and imperative for the federal government to explore dialogue. As that today, it is quite regrettable that there is no evidence that the current federal government of President Muhammad Buhari is even interested in talking to them. There is no evidence, but we have seen clearly how the federal government has treated the issue of the herdsmen. We have seen how the federal government has treated the issue of Boko Haram. Any sincere person can see a departure. On the one breed, we see the government being very, look at the killing that is going on in the North Central. Just about last night or so, we saw how a reverend father was burned to death. People are being killed, are being attacked all over the place. We do not see the kind of emotion, the kind of passion with which the federal government is approaching this different, aspect of criminality that is going on. And that is the problem. The problem is not even about dialogue. It's not even about trial in any court. It is about the fact that there is a clear bias, there is a clear prejudice on the part of the federal government. That is what has made it almost impossible for this crisis to be resolved. Because if the federal government is dispassionate, we will see a uniform approach to addressing.
All right, so what then is the way out of all of this?
It looks like the way out is for us to wait for Buhari to leave office. I am not optimistic that anything is going to change between now and May 29, 2023. But I want the federal government to prove me wrong. But if the last 7 years is anything to go by, it will be false hope for anybody to believe that the Buhari government is going to resolve the insecurity that is going on across the country. The government has clearly proven itself incapable. The service chief have not been fired. People have not been held accountable. What we are seeing is indulgence, and that is not how to address a crisis of this nature. When people are claiming that you are victimizing them, you have to talk to them, you have to engage them. Where that fails, you now employ the might of the government and the might of the states. But as that today, there is clearly no willingness on the part of this federal government to engage in any form of fruitful negotiation.
All right.
Why are they still holding on to Nnamdi Kanu? If they are saying that if they release him, there will be consequences. Are they saying that Nnamdi Kanu's movement cannot be monitored, that his activities cannot be monitored? Before this issue even became this terrible, when Nnamdi Kanu was still going about holding rallies and so on, it was not this bad. They were only disrupting traffic and all that. It was when he was taken into custody, the military went to attack people and all that, and the killing started. Now the situation has become brazen criminality. No, at that today, nobody can even kiss, because the Igbos are the major victims now. We have seen prominent people from the southeast region being slaughtered. We have seen public facilities, schools, and so on being destroyed. The Igbos are the victims, the major victims of the crisis in the southeast. That is why
Governor Soludo said he has inaugurated the Truth, Justice and Peace Committee in Anambra State to get to the root cause of insecurity in the southeast. To what extent can this help? To what extent can this help to solve all of this crisis?
It is not out of place, but it's not going to result in anything tangible. I'm saying that because the matter has gone beyond the governor. It is a matter that only the federal government can resolve. It is just like saying that a governor in the Niger Delta state, say example my home state Akwa Ibom or Delta or Rivers, during the Niger Delta militancy, could have resolved the militancy in the region by constituting a Truth and Reconciliation Commission. This matter is not domesticated to Anambra. The whole Southeast region is under militarization, is under criminality. Criminals have taken over the entire region. So it is not something that one governor can resolve. In any event, does the governor have any power to regulate the military? Look at the answers. When the Lagos state government set up a panel of inquiry, this is a good example, and they made recommendations. Has the federal government shown any willingness to hold any soldier accountable? You cannot have a Truth and Reconciliation Commission without the ability to bring justice to bear. If the Lagos example is anything to go by, it is a clear evidence that Soludo is wasting his time. Because if we are going to have truth and reconciliation, the military must also be held accountable for the slaughter of people in the region. Who is going to hold the military accountable? It is not the state government. Who is going to hold the police accountable? It is not Soludo. It has to take the federal government. As I've told you, Buhari has clearly made it clear to all Nigerians that is not interested in doing that. So the best bet for us is for us to wait for this government to leave office and hope that the next government will take the matter more seriously.
Thank you very much, Mr. Inibehe Effiong, for coming on Politics Tonight as we discuss Southeastern security and the disagreement between IPOB and Governor Soludo on Nnamdi Kanu. Thank you for being a part of the program.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
I do not care whether Satan stand up today and they say, release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. I don't care whether Hopus Odema stand up today and they say, release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. I don't care whether Ojos Okale today say, release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. The only thing that I am not supporting is when they say, release him to me. You know, Ojos Okale, release him to me. No, I am not going to support that. But I'm supporting the complete release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, just like they are calling it. So I am here to say that I support Soludo calling for the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. It does not matter. If Hope Uzodinma come today to say release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, I will support Hope Uzodinma calling for release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. So irrespective of our differences with Soludo and whatever he has been doing, I am also supporting, on behalf of Biafra, the call for Soludo, for the federal government to release him unconditionally. And in support of this, I want Soludo and everybody, every Biafrans to understand that the insecurity Soludo was talking about is being created by them. If Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is not released from now to the 22nd, especially on the condition of health, to also follow the court order of that he has been discharged, if he is not released between now and the 22nd of this month, we are going to protest specifically for this in support of Soludo's call to release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. For this reason, on the 23rd of January 2023 and on the 24th of January 2023, Biafra land will be under lock and key. Hey!